Well met, travelers, my name is KendricSwissh, and in this video I'd like to provide you with 5 tips that might make you become a better Hearthstone player. Please do note, however, that I do not claim these tips to be the best ones you will ever find, but I'm sure to some of you they will be useful. Alright, let's get straight to the nitty-gritty and start off with number 1, the luck factor. Hearthstone is a virtual card game. Now, most of you will probably be like, "Oh really? I already knew that a long time ago." But many players tend to forget what that means. So in most card games, luck plays a major role and often dictates the outcome of a match. This goes for traditional card games like poker or blackjack, but also for collectible card games like Magic the Gathering or, well, Hearthstone. And even though I will say that strategy and tactics is way more important than relying on lucky card draws, it sometimes isn't enough. In some matches, you just can't win without a tiny little bit of luck on your side. And this is where many players give way to despair. They tend to exaggerate the amount of luck their opponents have and understate their own amount of good fortune. Now, don't tell me you've never ever felt that way. But hey, it's okay. Our own perception tends to deceive us from time to time and makes us believe that it's always us to suffer from misfortune, while your opponents always seem to have exactly what they need. But the really important aspect here is how we let that affect our own personality and gameplay. If we keep focusing only on the negative things that happen during our Hearthstone sessions, for example when your opponent hexes your strongest minion exactly when he needed to, or when a mage finishes you off with a Pyro Frostball combo on turn 10 when you are exactly at 13 HP, it will affect our gameplay eventually. We will start to feel frustrated and fear what the opponent's hand might have in store for us. And fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Well, that was what Grandmaster Yoda already told us in Star Wars, and this applies to Hearthstone as well. If you continue to focus only on the negative things that happen to you during a game, you will eventually start to get angry with your own decks, your opponent's cards, and the game itself. And once you start hating the game while actually playing it, you've turned into a self-flagellating Hearthstone Sith. So my first tip for all of you who've struggled with luck and misfortune in the past: try to take it easy. The next time you're desperately waiting for a specific card and it won't show up, try to calm yourself down. The next time your opponent crushes your dreams with a single lucky play, try to calm yourself down. Only if you remain relaxed and concentrated will you learn and improve from your mistakes. In the end, you will be a stronger player in person if you accept that sometimes there's just nothing you could have done better in that situation. Number 2. Take your time to find the right deck. If you've been suffering from the Hearthstone Sith disease in the past, you might have been desperately looking for ways to force better games by browsing through websites, guides, and forums to find decks and mechanics that seem to be OP or chic because hiring players played them in a tournament. While following guides or tutorials is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, you should not try to just copy other players' decks just because you want to win at all cost. Even the strongest deck is not really that good if the player behind it does not enjoy playing it. Sure, you might win a few more games than before, but in the end you will not feel satisfied at all. This happened to me recently when I lost against a couple of aggro warlock decks and then created one myself. I managed to get a bunch of consecutive wins, but I felt like shit in doing so. The deck was no fun to me, and the victories felt like they weren't special at all. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like beating your friend at chess by using professional moves you looked up on the internet while your friend still plays normally and loses miserably. The victory won't feel satisfying, and in the end, you will even end up hating yourself for using certain strategies just because everybody uses them at the moment. Once again, if you enjoy yourself playing so-called mainstream decks, like for instance the aggro warlock at the moment, then there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But don't just force yourself to a certain class or playstyle that does not fit you. It will end up turning you into a salty Hearthstone Sith as well. Instead, focus on your personal preferences and follow your own desires. If you've been a big fan of Uth the Lightbringer, for example, please feel free to pick him in Hearthstone as well. Do some research online and make yourself familiar with the cards, and eventually you will find a way to overcome your opponents even with a deck that's not considered to be super viable. Number 3. Step your game up. Hearthstone is not the most complex card game to ever be created. In fact, It's rather easy to learn, and I'm sure that it won't take longer than a couple of weeks until you will know every single card and class. However, don't let the initial simplicity fool you, because the game is still challenging and hard to master, especially once you reach a certain level of play where your opponents get better and even the slightest mistake could make the difference between success and failure. Once you realize that your most favorite deck won't work that well any longer, or that you just seem to lose more than you win in the arena, it's time to inform yourself. Be curious, be open-minded to new ideas, gain knowledge, and don't be afraid to copy others. One way of doing so is to check out some of the great online communities that have been built up around Hearthstone, like Hearthstone.com or iHearthU.com. Once you made yourself familiar with the websites, take a look at the forums and feel free to ask questions there and discuss with other players. Another way to take your own game to another level is to watch streams. This may sound simple, but it should not be your average streaming session where you just lean back, interact in the chat, and basically forget everything you watched over the next few days. Instead, try to follow the streamer's moves and mistakes actively. Try to remember which cards worked and which ones didn't. If you want to climb the ladder up to the very top ranks or at some point make the arena dream of 12 wins come true, those steps are absolutely crucial. You should not feel unnecessarily shy or pessimistic about it. Everybody can do it, and so can you. Number 4. Forget about winning all the time. As we mentioned earlier, luck is quite essential at almost any card game. That's why you should immediately forget about finding the perfect deck that beats everything else. While in traditional competitive games like Call of Duty, StarCraft or League of Legends, your own personal skill or your team's skill level can almost always guarantee a victory, this can't be said about Hearthstone. Even top tier players like Trump or Kripparrian lose against players that neither possess their experience nor their knowledge due to the luck-based factors in the game. The same goes for making decks and evaluating them. Never expect to have a 90 or even an 80% win rate. This is incredibly rare, and not even top tier players will achieve such a high number. Instead, remain realistic and modest. As long as you win more than you lose, say about 65 or 70%, you are definitely on the right track. Only if you realize that you lose significantly more than you win, should you think of starting off from scratch. Number 5. Enjoy yourself. This tip basically goes hand in hand with the previous ones, and perhaps it might be the most important one. Have fun. It's as simple as it sounds. As long as you're not playing professionally or participate in a tournament, it's absolutely all about enjoying yourself while playing Hearthstone. In my opinion, the game is simply not designed to be taken drop dead seriously. Sometimes even a defeat might be more entertaining than a victory, when your opponent just pulls off a crazy and unexpected combo that you absolutely did not predict and which leaves you with your mouth wide open. Try to find something positive in everything you do, and if at any point frustration or negative thoughts seem to take over, just close the game and don't force yourself to it. Instead, turn on Twitch and watch one of your favorite streamers online. It feels so much better to laugh with others about somebody else's bad luck than being mad about your own, doesn't it? Alright, that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope I could help and inspire you a little bit to improve your Hearthstone experience, especially to the new players amongst you who just got into this wonderful game. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. And don't forget, more tips are already on the way. Thank you very much for watching and take care.